Now, we've been learning about SSL and we understood that it helps us with something called as encryption. And in the previous video, I mentioned that if we were to truly understand encryption, we have to understand the differences between encoding, checksum, hashing, cryptography, and serialization, which are all 5 different things. And only one of them is encryption. Not all 5 of them, only one of them. That's why we need to understand all these 5 things correctly to understand what encryption truly is. Because a lot of people, they confuse all these 5 things and they use them interchangeably. So now let's see what encoding looks like. When you put in an input like this, you see this sort of an output, all right? And you've seen this sort of an output before. You've seen this in JWT tokens. This is how JWT tokens look like. So when you are supposed to log into something, right? After you've logged in, you have to pass this JWT token every single time to indicate that you're logged in and you have this token to access these APIs. And this is how embedded in JSON they look like. And we send them as a HTTP request header, right? This kind of a JWT token. So this is what encoding actually looks like. I want to take a quick minute to share something very important with you. As you move up in your engineering career, DSA and coding become less and less important and system design becomes more and more important. To the extent that if you're going for a director, VP or CTO position, the only thing they're checking for are your system design skills, because they assume that since you've spent so much time in the industry, you're very good with coding and DSA. Now, there are many resources on the internet for basic system design, but there isn't much for advanced level system design or using system design skills to actually work with complex systems. And this is why I've built a 3-month advanced system design cohort. If you're someone who has some experience in the industry and you resonate with this problem statement, you might want to fill the form that's in the comments and in the description of this video. 20 people have already joined up in this cohort. We'll check to see if you're a good fit once you fill the form, and we'll set up a time with you. Now let's get back to the video. Now, what's important to remember is encoding is not encryption, okay? It just transforms the data into another format. So it can be used or transmitted by a system. So it's just for the purpose of transmission. Now, this is also not the same as serialization, which is a completely different topic, right? Serialization, actually, let's look at this. Let's follow this arrow. So what is serialization? Now, if you've seen any of my Golang videos, you've seen that what I do is I have these Golang objects, which only Golang understands, but then I have to store them in a database. Now, the database does not natively understand Golang objects. It just understands JSON or some other object, other format. So how do you get from Golang, the Golang object, to something like JSON? That's how serialization works. So you'll convert from native Golang to JSON. Now, this can seem very similar to the process of encoding. And this is why a lot of people confuse encoding with serialization, but this is slightly different, okay? And the goal of serialization is also just transportation and persistence. So in encoding, the goal is just transport, but with serialization, it's transport and persistence or storage. That means you would be storing the data in JSON format, for example, in a database. And that's why you want to convert it from the native Golang object or the native Python object into JSON. And there is no compression or secrecy in serialization, okay? Now let's go back to encoding. So now we understand that encoding and serialization are not the same. Encoding and serialization are both not encryption. Now, serialization is not encryption, encoding is not encryption, right? We understand that. We know that they're both different. And we understand that serialization is for persistence and transportation. And encoding is just transforming it into another format so that can be transmitted by a system more easily. Now let's understand why encoding would be used. So the thing is important to remember that there is no compression or secrecy when encoding. So this is not encryption. And encryption is when you want secrecy, right? So this encoding is just for the ease of transport only. Now, why do you want that? Why do you want ease of transport? So let's say you want to send a JPEG image via SMTP, okay? Now, SMTP is for emailing. It's an email protocol, but it only works with ASCII2 images. And this is why our JPEG image will actually break. Now, we want our JPEG image to be generally accepted across various protocols, not just SMTP, but let's say even with HTTP, even with FTP, we want it to be like compatible with all the protocols. So it's better to just encode it with base64 and then it becomes easy to transport, right? JPEG image into base64 encoded, that's much more easier to transport. So as we know, the protocol just helps with the transport. So now that we've learned, it just helps with the transport. Once it's at the receiver end, which could be anyone, so it doesn't have to be secure or encryption driven, right? Anyone can be the receiver. they can easily decode back the original JPEG. So it's just so that the image does not break during transmission. That is it. That's the whole point of encoding. And the last point is, again, we've already seen this in JWT tokens. That's how encoding works. So in this video, we understood about encoding and serialization. In the next videos, let's build up on the other concepts before we get to encryption.